So now we're going to move to the panel. If the panelists can all put on their cameras, we're going to be the speakers are going to be joined by Bex Townley. She's the director of the not-for-profit organisation Later Life Training, and she's worked in this area of physical activity and training since 1988. And then also Dr. Richard Horton. He is a chartered engineer and scientist living in Belfast, but nowadays I note the word semi-retired, and he focuses on keeping healthy and active. And he recently emailed me when he was, I'm trying to remember, out walking in the mountains. And was it Switzerland, Richard?
Yeah, it was a French Alps. It's an annual pilgrimage, for a week.
Very good. Well, thank you. And you were a participant in the AGNI Move More, Live More online program. So, but a chance to reflect. So we've got about just around 30 minutes. There's been lots of questions in the chat. There's been lots of comments, questions in the QA, comments in the chat. Let's just start off a little bit of reflection on what we've heard. Bex, what stands out? Reflecting, what stands out? You've heard 3 presentations. Anything stands out for you that's been covered this morning?
Yeah, my reflections, for what they're worth, folks. I've got a zillion post-it notes here that I've been scribing on. I'll be brief. It stands out to me that, of course, maybe some differences in opinion in the research and insights around digital inclusion and preferences and being online, having a smartphone, but having access to all of the functions and actually is there support available to actually go live at the right time, troubleshoot all those things that go on. So that's something that is ongoing for sure. Jacqueline and Adrian both mentioned this is a biggie for us at Later Life Training, that whether it's remote or in person, it's all about behaviour change. We cannot remove behaviour change from the intervention, from the programme. And we have huge missed opportunities actually in-person sessions to embed behaviour change strategies so that we can better encourage people perhaps who want to have the choice to supplement their in-person experiences with digital. So I think there's more around skills. There's always more around skills for exercise instructors to be even more specific in their delivery, whether it's in person or remote. I think we have a real divide and between this word physical activity and what it means to specifically train with progression in mind. So the physical activity guidelines go some way. How are they disseminated? How are those messages deployed and interpreted by us as professionals? How do we really, really reach, it's not even older people, it's everyone with this stuff. And it's all about reaching them where they are, increasing physical literacy, shifting hearts, minds, behaviours, beliefs, and all of those things. So I think exercise practitioners, teachers, exercise physiologists, anyone that's involving people in physical activity, we should be on the road to physical fitness and specifically training components of fitness. Walking isn't enough, we know that, but it's a good start. So how can we embed these messages around strength and balance with those that are walking? Because at some point walking is going to be in decline, so we train strength and balance to maintain walking. Very rarely in-person or remote is there sufficient balance challenges, is there sufficient effortful strength. We're still battling stereotypes around gentle exercise. Why are these words even still out there? We're striving to build self-efficacy and can do, and actually not just meet the physical activity guidelines, but go beyond into greater benefits and optimal training outcomes. Is that enough?
I think that's perfect. Look, Beck, you've set the bar high, because not only have you reflected, but you've set a number of challenges. But before we get on to that, Richard, what's your from what you've heard, what stands out? What's the one thing that you've heard today that maybe struck a chord with you or made you think a little bit differently or reinforced something for you? What stands out?
Well, I think, if I can say that, the quality of the presentations were excellent. What particularly was how well the content across those presentations and the was very much in line with my experience as a user of the Move More, Live More program. So I suppose that's one way of saying that the Move More, Live More program, was covering the field of this area very well. I mean, as I think you said in your introduction, I'm a scientist and engineer, but I'm not an expert in this field. I have, however, been involved with technological innovation over many years in many different fields, ranging from mining, energy, telecoms, food, and I think one of the points that has come up in the presentations here has been the question of the role that technology plays in assisting in this area. And my experience of technology innovation generally is that it can be put to use and it can be put to bad use. And I think that goes back right to the beginning of time, can be put to good use. Fire can be put to good use and put to bad use. And I think this is very true in this field. I think technology has a very strong role to play if it's used wisely. I think there's quite a lot of onus and responsibility that it has to be owned by the companies that are involved with the sort of technologies that impinge on this area. And if I could just pick up on one point from Jacqueline's presentation, what is likely to be growing importance of AI in this field, as in many other fields, and I think as we see with social media, trust issues are going to emerge as massive. Now that's me making a forward-looking prediction.
Okay.
So those are some some broad thoughts, Roger.
Well, thank you, Richard. That's great. And let's start. We've had two reflections before we go into some of the questions from the panel. I want to pick up on an issue. Adrian, is weight-bearing activity the poor relation in the promotion of physical activity for older people? And what do you think can be done?
Was the question, is weight-bearing activity or is strength training activity?
Sorry, weight-bearing and strength activity. Beck's comment that you talked about.
It's not the poor relation, it's actually the rich cousin, because it's only people who are very motivated that can actually get to the equipment, the motivation, the opportunity, and the capability to actually do that. So that walking is for everyone, and that's a good start, but we need to work out ways to get more older adults, more adults of all ages, but particularly older adults, because of the falls risk and the mobility decreases, to actually think about strength training a little more. We haven't got the social marketing messages to get that to happen well. We haven't got the measures to get that to happen well. And that's one of the bigger challenges in older adults' physical activity promotion today.
Brilliant, Adrian, because there were some questions coming in that really, that are highlighting that. So that's really, really excellent. Thank you. In terms of Adrian, Meg, and Jacqueline, in terms of the three or the other two presentations and not yours, anything stands out from them for you? So Meg, just very briefly, from Adrian and Jacqueline's presentation, anything stand out for you? particularly in your work and delivering online physical activity and activity programs for older people?
Yeah, I think, Adrian, it was nice. I suppose I focused on the Irish context, so I found it very interesting that you had taken kind of the global view. So it was interesting to hear the statistics reflected in some way across most countries. But then definitely I'll be looking more into the countries you mentioned and what we can learn from, and their countries. I know Japan is often one of the countries with the good markers of aging well, aging healthily, and good lifespan for the majority of Japanese citizens. So just spark my interest, if you like, and I'm certainly going to do more reading into that area.
Thank you, Jacqueline. In terms of the other two presentations, anything stand out for you, or anything you want to emphasize with regard to behavior change, because you covered a lot?
Yeah, I think there's two things. The first is maybe reflecting on Meg's presentation. I don't think technology is for everyone, and that's okay, right? So technology is not about replacing services or support, it's about complementing. And that works for some people and it doesn't work for others, and that's fine. But I think what that helps us think about is how we can redistribute resources to those who really need that in-person support versus those that can actually benefit from a digital delivery. And then the second thing is that, technology alone is not a solution here. Physical activity behavior is influenced by many things, including the environment, as Adrian pointed out, right? So we cannot think about physical activity behavioral change from one silo or pillar, right? It's a multidisciplinary problem in a sense, or solution, however you want to look at it. And there's lots of different things that influence someone's physical activity behavior.
Thank you, Jacqueline. We have a question. I think I'll ask the rest of the panel as well. But what are the most effective ways to habit stack physical activity into our existing digital routines?
To me?
Yeah. Thank you, Jacqueline.
So I think, one way that we've tried to do this, right, to promote healthy habits through apps, one is to have a sort of library of easy to implement small changes that you can make that build up, your self-efficacy in achieving these healthier habits over time, and allowing people to try these things out and find out what works for them. And once they find things that work for them, to try to nudge those or to promote those at the right moments as little reminders. And that might be digitally delivered, or you can upskill people in how they can have those prompts in their environment. Those could be like post-it notes, like Bex has been using, so something like that. So I think that's a strategy that we've tried to use. One is sort of having a bank of resources and then pushing them and encouraging those to be implemented over a period of time.
Okay, great. So Bex, again, what's the most effective way to habit stack physical activity into our existing digital routine? What do you think? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, Bex.
Still. Well, of course, there's an obvious answer to that. It depends on the conversation that you have with the individual. It all starts there. What's your current routines? What's important? It's an overused term to meet people where they're at, but this is where we know, perhaps, other than Jacqueline's work, that personalization and everything starts with that conversation and the person. So what are their routines and habits currently? What are their routines around long periods of sitting? What could work for them? This isn't a shameless ad, but we started Make Movement Your Mission during COVID. We thought it was going to be 30 days, and 6 years on, we're still in it. So getting people to buy into a routine that works for them, coupled with social interactions, albeit remote, if that's important to them. it's as it suggests, it stacks onto current habits that work. Is that a helpful habit? Is it an unhelpful habit? I do also want to say here that there's a significant difference between moving more and working towards more specific progressive exercise. I go back to this phrase: physical activity is misunderstood in lots of context. If I am unable to enjoy physical activity due to movement limitation for whatever reason, I'll need to go to physical fitness to train those things so that I can be physically active. So I think there's much more around language information, and in my experience, older people want to learn. I think sometimes the stereotypes prevent that. We put on the music because we think that's what people want. You know, there's more to be had. What's important to these individuals, to people, to bring about change and gains, and having better conversations is at the heart, whether it's via a smartphone or whether it's via a human.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bex. And again, you've touched on the issue of stereotypes, and I think we'll go on to that because that's really important in terms of the bar that's set or the types of training. So this question probably relates to an answer that Deirdre Lang gave to a question like this a few years ago, where she talked about recommending the older people that she knew that wanted to get physically active and starting at a certain level, was as they were sitting watching television, she advised them at every commercial break to get up and stand for the length of the time of the break, or if they go to make a telephone call, stand during the telephone call. So it was integrating it in, but this is much more on an online context. So Adrian, do you have anything else to add to that?
I'm going to be a little controversial because everything that we've heard has focused on what we need to do for individuals. And my discipline's public health. So I want to get to the 50% who are doing nothing and get them to do something first. So that I want to think about what are the structural changes, what are the infrastructure changes, what are the opportunity changes, how can we change the culture to get people to stand during television commercials, not just put that out as a good idea, so that we have thousands of people calling the fit line, thousands of people making small changes. And until we're doing that, we're not actually going to make progress in getting the population healthier. The whole area of online is not a magic bullet. It's one in a suite of the armamentarium we have with structural, environmental, and individual strategies to make people more active. It's a good one, it's an acceptable one, but it's something in our saddlebags to use as required for those that want it. But it's not a panacea.
Brilliant, Adrian. Thank you for bringing us back to public health, and to remember not just to focus on the individuals, but what are the root causes and the challenges around being physically inactive. I would just highlight a paper if people haven't had a chance to read it. Joey Murphy here in Ireland has produced a paper around the commercial determinants around physical activity. So it's important to take a read of that. It's quite challenging. So, okay, Adrian, just when you touch on that about structural parts, you give a few countries where they seem to be getting it right. Tell us a little bit more about why you think they're getting it right. You talked about Japan, China, the Netherlands, New Zealand.
Very different reasons in each of those. In the Netherlands, it's about infrastructure. It's about a small country. It's about having good cycling infrastructure. In China, it's cultural. It's about getting outdoors and being part of a social group that's engaging in activity. In New Zealand or Norway, it's engaging with nature. So there are different cultural attributes in different countries, and you've got to tap into what are your cultural leverage points that will work at the large scale, at the population level.
Brilliant. Adrian, can you put in the chat the reference to the paper that covers those four countries, or if there's, it reminds me of a blue zone for physical activity. You know, the blue zone that exists for healthy age, and there must be a blue zone version of that for physical activity, where it takes the diversity that are in the different countries and the common core.
Firstly, there's no standardized survey that's actually covered all countries, because all countries use different physical activity measures, even different accelerometers, different pedometers, so that it's an impression of age-related declines, which I'm happy to share with you. I'll send you an email afterwards with a few references that will guide people to that particular material, but it's not in one place.
Okay, well, Adrian, in between you're doing everything else, you know, that's on your to-do list. Thank you very much. Meg and Richard, stereotypes have come up. What can we do about challenging the stereotypes around physical activity? What do you think? And again, we've got the structural issues as well as the individual issues. What do you think we can do about challenging stereotypes? Meg, first.
Yeah, I think public messaging and imaging for people, because we do sometimes have older people saying, oh, shouldn't I be taking it easy at my age? Or there's a big fear of injury, for example. If someone is very inactive, they have a fear of falling. So I think there does need to be a lot more positive messaging and imagery around older people being physically active and doing activities maybe that are not associated with older people. Such as going to the gym or weightlifting and so on. And I was thinking, when you just to go back to the point about structural changes, I think in Ireland we place a lot of emphasis on our environment and connection with nature. So for me, more development in outdoor gyms, I think, is very successful. I know in Sligo, where we're based, we have an outdoor gym at Dorley Park, which is kind of the park very near the centre of the town. And I've seen an increase in older people using the equipment, as long as there's kind of clear photos and instructions on the equipment. But that's something that fits in quite well, I think, culturally, for people who don't relate to indoor gyms and that kind of setting.
Okay, thank you. And Richard, challenging stereotypes. What's your experience?
I think there's a perception that exercise and moving more is not enjoyable. Whereas I think we can, get across the message that, if you're smart about it, if you think about what your own personal interests are, what motivates you, it is enjoyable. And so long as you design your own personal, this comes down to personal choice, your own personal activities around what you find enjoyable. You say you've got to supplement it with maybe some strength and balance exercises that, maybe that's not the highlight of your day, but it's easy to integrate them into a lot of your daily lives. I mean, if I can pick up on that very nice little exercise that Connor, I think it is, that did, this question of balance and standing on one leg. I mean, one of the things that I do every day, just as because I don't like wasting time, is when I'm brushing my teeth, my electric toothbrush runs for, I think it's 2 minutes, and I stand on one leg for the first minute and the other leg for the second minute. So, and that provides me with an excellent balance exercise, which is integrated into, part of my daily life. I think the benefit of my own personal experiences. I mean, I happen to love walking, so I make a point of just getting out. I am semi-retired, so this helps. But I get out and do 2.5 hours of fairly brisk walking every day.
Fantastic.
And that's to help me build up. I mean, I think, and the other thing I think here, that one of the really important points here is, and this came out very well in the Move More, Live More program, and that is the question of motivation and target setting. I think it's great, if individuals can set targets. And I mean, I set myself a target, an annual target of doing one very, very big walk every year. And so that has a knock-on effect of causing engage in daily training, like training exercises, which are pleasurable, walking, 10 miles a day.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much. Bex, there's a question in about any examples of activity programs that bring together different or that are intergenerational. Any thoughts, or any of the panel, any thoughts about online intergenerational physical activity programs that bring together younger and older people? Are you aware of any across the UK that you could signpost people to? Or any of the panel? That would be very helpful. Oh, you're on mute, and don't. You're on mute, Bex.
Sorry.
No.
I don't. Apologies. No, but I suppose my mind immediately went to the research that was shown on Channel 4, or so we say it wasn't so much research, but project whereby they engaged with local schools to go and interact with individuals in a care home. And they monitored the amount of activity, standing time that came about just from this interaction, this intergenerational project. That I don't know, everyone saw it. I don't. What was it? Was it in your neck of the woods over there? It was on Channel 4 over here a couple of years ago, and it was phenomenal to see that individuals that usually wouldn't go anywhere without their stick were leaping up. They were building relationships with these young people, completely shifted their attitudes and thoughts to how they could move just from the enjoyment of being with these little young people. So that's a very crude description of in an answer to your question, but clearly there's work going on in that area. All I know is I watched the programme and it's worth a look at.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. I'm going to ask Jacqueline a question. From your experience, are there differences in the outcomes between those that are like digital exercise, say YouTube videos, versus the more interactive formats like Zoom classes? So on YouTube, there's loads and loads of materials, but then you can sign up to classes. Have you come across anything in your work that shows the difference of what's more likely to get the better outcome for older people?
Honestly, no, I haven't come across anything that directly compares these two formats. But I guess like one, it's a sort of asynchronous delivery, right? So you're doing that in your time when you can and in a private setting. Whereas the other, you have a more social component, it's a fixed time, it's synchronous. So they're serving two different needs potentially. But I haven't seen anything that directly compares whether one is more effective than the other.
Okay, that's fine. So we've really nearly run out of time. We've got 4 minutes, so we're coming down to the last question I'm going to ask everybody. So Adrian, bringing it back to public health, and we're thinking about the online world. Where should we concentrate our energy for the greatest population-wide effect to get more people active in the right way? So
my radical suggestion is you actually limit smart use phone time, which is associated with sedentary time. And in Australia, we've now banned it during school hours, and we're banning some of the large social media for the under 16s. Let's reduce the drivers of sedentary time.
So Adrian, for you, the big driver of sedentary time is technology.
It's technology, it's fossil fuels, it's motor vehicle use, it's a whole range of technology related things that we really need, and it's occupations that we really need to think about how to re-engineer active time back into our lives and reduce the addictive potential of all this sedentary entertainment.
Okay, what a great challenge. That's fantastic. Bex, briefly, what do you think? So where should we concentrate our energy for the greatest population-wide effect?
Does it mean going back to school? Does it mean going seeing what's happening in education, PE, the demise of competition, broadening what physical activity curriculums look like in schools? Surely everything starts there.
Okay, so you're starting
young.
Yeah, start young, change habits, change practices. Jacqueline, what do you think? So again, it's the same question. It's the same question.
I agree with the previous speakers, but I would add that we should also think about the drivers for change and what's really driving behavioural change. And I think a lot of that comes down to emotions. You know, people do what makes them feel good. So if you can align that activity with feeling good, feeling happy, feeling thriving, then people will indirectly do more of that thing. So I think if we can try to tap on the underlying drivers of the change, then hopefully through technology, maybe in a positive way rather than a negative way, then hopefully that will help.
Great, thank you. You've broadened it out. Meg, what do you think? So where should we concentrate our energy for the greatest population-wide effect? Not just on it, across the population.
Yeah, I was thinking about the television, and there was an Irish program. I hope I've got the name right. I think it was Operation Transformation, where panel worked with people to get them more physically fit and well. And in the ad break, they would give you an activity or a challenge to do. So that would be really fantastic to have that across the board when there are breaks or ads in television programs. You know, modeling a physical activity or something you could do in that 2 or 3 minute break, and have that as the norm. I think that would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I regularly tell my children that when we got a television at home, it was in the, you know, our physical activity was walking over to turn the channel every so often and go back again. And, you know, our telephone was screwed to the wall down the corridor that you had to stand at if you made a call. It's you know, we become so much more sedentary, and that's the challenge. Like the example, it's important. We can sit on the sofa to watch the television, to make the calls, to order our food, to get our food delivered, to buy activities. And that's the big challenge that Adrian is highlighting, and that's so important. And those aspects of making small changes are important. Richard, the last comment before I wrap up. Where do you think we should concentrate our energy for the greatest population-wide effect? What's going?
Well, I think, well, as a non-expert in this field, I mean, I think my view would be that it's important to get as much alignment with what you enjoy as possible. I mean, that's speaking personally, I've done. I enjoy walking. So I get out and do it, and I think it's also important to think also about links to other enabling aspects such as nutrition and mental health. These are I think we need a holistic approach. I think it's not just about moving. It's wider than that.
Yeah, it's moving, connecting. I always think of the example of dance. You get physical activity with dance, you get social connection with dance, and then you get brain function with dance, because you have to remember the moves. So it's important to bring different components of public health together. So look, I just want to thank you all. Thank you very much